that no one would have ever guessed or can imagine can happen to someone.
By May of '85, she was listening to the tapes constantly. She says her nerves were shot, her job was in jeopardy, her marriage was crumbling. Still, she defied her husband and went to a Ramtha retreat in California.
I was obsessed. I couldn't stop. I don't know how to explain it except that when I tell you that I was on a roll and you're going downhill, you can't stop. I really needed help at that point.
She got it. When she returned, her husband had her deprogrammed. Her marriage and the rest of her life now put back together. Linda says what happened to her could happen to anyone, and certainly many others have felt the powerful pull of Ramtha.
Stay steadfast. I will. I want to go where you are. You're going to. Sooner than you know.
And lately, those who want to be where Ramtha is have found a reason to do so. In Ramtha videos and in Ramtha newspapers, the mystic predicts a series of natural disasters will devastate much of America. Volcanoes and quakes, plagues and drought and tidal waves, and more.
In these days to come, one should leave that which is called the beaches and seek higher ground. It would be well advised, in the greatest of wisdom, to pack your belongings and go somewhere else.
Well, many of the true believers are taking that advice to heart. Now, Ramtha says that the Pacific Northwest will be safe from all those disasters. So in the past year or two, hundreds of people, upwards of 1,500 by one count, have suddenly left everything behind. Their families, their businesses, just left everything and moved to places like Northern California, Oregon, and here in Washington State. This is Cheryl McNaughton. She moved to Yelm, Washington, right near JZ Knight. After falling in with Ramtha, McNaughton divorced her multimillionaire husband, left her home in Hawaii, came here with her children and her new boyfriend.
Ramtha was a door. I walked through it. I changed my life. I am happy because of me. He gave me that experience.
But it's a bitter experience for many of those left behind. We heard stories from all over the country, like the East Coast, where there was the elderly man whose wife of 45 years got into Ramtha, and then last Thanksgiving suddenly cleaned out their bank account and moved to the Northwest. And we talked to the woman here in Los Angeles. Just last summer, her husband got a Ramtha videotape and started watching it over and over again.
He became obsessed with the idea that the world was going to end. He began giving away our furniture. We had just bought a house. He put the house up for foreclosure. He let his business go, and he moved up to an area near the Sequoias.
He finally came home just recently, but Tina's still shaken.
What is Ramtha doing to families like yours?
Tearing them apart. I don't know what she did to my husband, but he's not the same he was. You know, he's just not the same person he was a few months ago.
Those folks, you know, they point the finger at you. They blame you. They think you're bad news, that you've lured their loved ones away.
You know, but you know, what would you expect them to say? I'm so thankful she took my wife away, and it's all her fault. It could never be mine. You know, people don't want to take responsibility that if that person left, could it be because they weren't happy anymore?
To grasp what Knight says, it helps to look at what some of her followers think of as their Bible, the Ramtha White Book. It outlines a philosophy where reality is whatever you want it to be, where there's no right, no wrong, even murder is not wrong or evil. But JZ says it helps to believe in reincarnation.
If you only believe that you only are going to, you're born and you die, and there's no afterlife, murder is definitely wrong. If you believe in a continuation of life, that's a different story. In a divinity, if we're immortal and we're going to live again, then how could murder be a wrong?
The person who commits a murder, for instance, doesn't need to be punished by being put into prison. He's going to be punished because he's going to hate himself for eons of years, and he's going to live with that guilt and that remorse, and it will set his process of evolvement back for ages and ages.
McNaughton says Ramtha told her that in a previous life she was one of his children. JZ says Ramtha told her that she too was one of his daughters. But we decided to look at JZ's more recent past here in the oil town of Artesia, New Mexico, where she grew up as Judy Hampton. She was popular, voted prettiest girl by the other members of her high school class. One of her closest friends in school was Sandy Fallis. Sandy told us of a bizarre incident at a prayer meeting when Judy suddenly began speaking in a strange male voice, identifying herself as a demon named Demayas.
She couldn't breathe. She was holding her neck, and she was saying, "I can't breathe." At that point, this male's voice spoke out again. He said, "I possess this body and cannot have it. I have possessed it for many years."
Well, I have never, ever had anything like that happen. That's somebody else's truth. That's not my truth.
Didn't happen.
No, it didn't happen.
But if it did, it would seem to support a theory that Knight has and may have had another personality that comes out that she can't entirely control.
Some very powerful and deep force, even an alternate personality, is taking over the unconscious of the channeler.
So what is Ramtha? Merely a figment of JZ Knight's imagination or a genuine phenomenon? Well, if you listen to some of those who were there at the beginning in the late 70s, maybe it's a little bit of both. They include some of Knight's old friends, even her ex-husband. They'll tell you that in the beginning, Ramtha was real, something positive, something good. But those old friends say as the Ram grew more popular, JZ grew jealous, and somehow she began pushing the real spirit aside and started acting the part of Ramtha.
When I would look at JZ, she was like hungry. She was hungry for these things that money could buy.
Stephen Bacher says greed is the motivation behind Ramtha. He was once Knight's advance man, traveled with her, arranged all her appearances. In Seattle, where he now lives, Bacher told us about a series of incidents that made him lose faith. He recalled a gathering in California in 1984 when JZ started slipping into and out of her Ramtha identity without bothering with a trance. There was a desert hike.
She was smoking at the time and would put down her cigarette, and she'd walk to the edge of the big boulder, and she would stand there and go like this and imitate Ramtha and holler down to the people to hurry up, and then she would come down and talk some more to us and smoke some more, and then she'd go up and do it again, urging them on. And that's when I really just died inside, because it was blatant.
But perhaps more blatant was Ramtha's involvement with JZ's horses. Her stable, Messiah Arabians, boasts such valuable animals as this mare, which Knight says is worth $1 million.
Thank you for being so gorgeous.
Apparently, Ramtha likes horses too. Cheryl McNaughton told us that Ramtha advised her to buy this stallion from JZ Knight. She paid JZ $250,000. Knight, as Ramtha, advised many others to invest in some of her own high-priced horses. This offering of one of Knight's Messiah Arabians describes it as an investment personally designed by Ramtha.
Of course, if God says to you, do this, what are you going to say? No, or I'll think about it. I mean, you just don't turn your back on that. And so I would just be besieged with people like shoving money at me so that they could, get in on this.
Many of the investments sour, prompting complaints. An investigation by the state of Washington brought a cease and desist order, which Knight voluntarily agreed to, and she's been paying back the unhappy investors. In retrospect, are you sorry that you used the name of Ramtha in offerings like that one?
No, I'm not, because I think if a person is ever sorry about what they ever did, then they never learn and they never progress and go forward. People are entitled to say that I'm a fake, I'm a fraud, I'm the devil, I'm the Antichrist. I'm everything but doing something good for somebody. And it's okay if they say that, because, the thing that I've learned is that everyone is entitled to their own truth.
Truth, reality, in the world of Ramtha, they are whatever you want them to be. So go ahead and call this a cosmic con game if you want to. JZ Knight is going to keep right on enjoying her little slice of heaven, as long as the spirit moves her.
To that which is termed life. Forever, and ever, and ever. So be it.
Judge, she is highly visible now, but how many others are there out there like that? How widespread is this channeling phenomenon?
There are dozens and dozens of them. She is the best known, but there are many others. For example, Shirley MacLaine is now aligning herself with a channel named Kevin Ryerson, who claims he brings forth a 400-year-old spirit. Athena Pattengill, one of the women we spoke with in the story, she claims she's a channel. So it's a new phenomenon, and Dr. Carl Raschke, the cult expert we talked to, said that it's an outgrowth of the cult movement of the early 80s and of the 70s, that this is the new form of a cult, sort of a no-fault cult, because you don't see a wise man like Rajneesh, for example. It's the person bringing forth the spirit of a wise man. You can't see him, but he's there.
Thank you, Judd.
His